All right, let's do this. Welcome to the Successful Life Podcast. I am your host, Corey Barrier, and I am here with the one and only Charlie Rocket. What's up, Charlie?
Man, what's up, Corey?
Good to see you, brother.
Man, out here on a winning streak.
I know that's right. So, dude,
You know why?
Please tell me.
You know why we're on a winning streak, bro? Because we woke up this morning.
Well, you ain't lying. Bring it.
And I'll tell you this, too, and anybody who's watching, you see what you're looking at. And that's a very, very simple statement. But what you look at is what you see. So there's plenty of good things and plenty of bad things we can look at. I'm trying my best to wake up and decide to look at certain things because I can't see something I'm not looking at. So if I'm not looking at all the negativity, I don't see it. If I'm not looking at all the fear, I don't see it. So remember that everybody who's listening, you see what you're looking at.
That's so true. You're right. It's super powerful because, Charlie, we're in a, and I don't want to spend a ton of time on this, but we're in a really compromised time right now, or at least, let me rephrase that. What it appears, the perception is that we're in a complicated time. And I think the virus itself is the least thing we need to be worried about. And I think the biggest thing on people's mind right now, and I think you could definitely hit on this, is that the loss of their whether they're unemployed or whether their places. We just got a message, saying that our county was closed down till April 17th. Mm-hmm. And I'm just like, for most folks that would destroy them as, because a lot of people, Charlie, live paycheck to paycheck or maybe they've got a month savings, maybe. And like, shit, to be out for this long that's the part that's hard for me. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, man. And everybody's lives have stopped. I saw the unemployment numbers yesterday and it said 3 million. And I'm like, wow, that's a very low number. And I'll tell you why I look at it, which is the biggest drop in unemployment of all time. But when you fly over like a major city and you look down at all the buildings and all the factories and all the warehouses and all the malls and all those people, all those businesses are closed. 3 million ain't nothing. And it's probably going to get worse. And that's why it is so important for us to master our minds right now. Because like life has stopped completely in its tracks, but the bills have not stopped. The bills are going to keep coming. And for a lot of people who are providers in their families, they're now questioning themselves. There's business owners who are really smart that are questioning themselves. There's husbands and dads and wives and moms who are like, I thought I knew what I was doing, and everybody is questioning themselves. So we have to be really kind to ourselves in this time because this is bigger than us. But what a time to be alive, Corey, because times like this are what birth heroes and legends. It's not the sunny days that make heroes and legends. And there's something that we can do ourselves. When we put on that hero cape and we give ourselves that identity, we stick to our guns. We get it done. We go out, we find something inside of us that we didn't know we had when we put on that, I'm going to be the hero for my family, for my friends, for my community, for my church. I'm going to be the hero. When somebody makes that decision to say, I'm going to be the hero, they find things they've never found in themselves before. So right now is an opportunity for all of us to own a new identity. We might have before been a businessman. Well, guess what? Our businesses are closed. What do we have to be then? Well, I'm going to be a hero. That's what I'm going to be. Because we got to do something.
That's right.
So I'm recommending for anybody watching, give yourself an identity. Tell yourself you're a hero and look for people to help and watch your sanity come back. And things might be crashing all around you. Just like, a man who might be at war, or a woman who's at war. Things are chaotic, but they know, I have a duty.
Yeah.
I have a duty. And we need to have that mentality right now for our friends, our family, our churches, our loved ones, our schools, our children. We've got to be a hero. And that's what's going to keep us strong.
You're right. And right now, Charlie, we can be the hero of our own story because we all are starting from a place that is almost a level playing field as where we sit right now, because we're all stuck here in our houses or apartments or wherever it is you live. And so figure out, like you said, figure out what that identity is and step into that motherfucker and go, you know?
That's right. That's right, man. I've spent all morning. I think I'm about eight hours in now of hand messaging. People who have reached out to me, who have been suicidal and who are scared, and I've been getting on the phone with them. And I have this community called Quantopia. You're a quantum citizen,
Yes,
and
I am.
I just started seeing all these text messages when I woke up this morning of people saying, Charlie, last night I was thinking about taking my life. And immediately I said, you know what, I got to get on the phone with these guys. And one of them I went to high school with, and another one is this young kid. And everybody's scared. Everybody's broken. Everybody feels like they're being attacked. There's so much. And certain people, they feel negativity in the air, energetically more than others. So it's really tough on a lot of people because their shield might not be out. They might be beat down. And when you don't have money and you don't know when you'll be able to make money, I mean, you question everything in your life. So it's very important for us to be there personally for people. Like, the internet is good and posting stuff is good, but a human heart-to-heart connection is more powerful. Those 2 phone conversations I had today would be more powerful than any post I make with 20,000 likes. We're talking about human lives here. So it's very important for us to wake up with that hero mentality and talk to people and help them and provide them resources. And sometimes all people need is a plan. Even if the plan changes, the best thing to get rid of anxiety is to just have a plan. And if the plan changes in a couple of days, cool, we have a new plan. But that just settles people's minds a little bit. And if the people who are listening to this, if y'all are in a good place, yes, there's a lot of fun and games, and there's a lot of live streaming and entertainment happening on the internet. But we also gotta it can also be dangerous because everybody looks so happy, and that can send somebody into a even deeper depression. So they're gonna need a shoulder. They're gonna need a hand. They're gonna need to know that somebody can listen, because a lot of people, they feel invisible. Now their life is restricted to the internet. And a lot of people feel so invisible because they might post something and it gets 2 likes. So now they're not experiencing human interaction. Now they're stuck in their house and they feel invisible. So it's a very, very scary time, because those same people who feel invisible are looking at all the people who are so popular, all the people who are in such great relationships, all the people who are so beautiful. So we gotta be strong. We gotta be strong. And conversations like this are gonna be important. to let people know that there are people they can reach out to. Anybody listening, if you want to reach out to me, Quantopia is the best way. You got to find the phone number. Corey could give it to you, or different people in Quantopia could give it to you. But DM me or message me. But yes, it is very important that there's an actual heart-to-heart connection, because our life is being reduced down to a 2-inch screen, which is 2-dimensional. Like the pixels on this screen are 2 dimensions. Like we're multi-dimensional beings. Like our lives are being sucked into this tiny little screen, which is not pure energy. So I've been meditating a lot, and I've been doing a little bit of yoga, and I've been food journaling, and I've been, keeping my dream alive, of wanting to become a basketball player. So I've been, like my dream gives me hope, and it's what allows me to wake up every day and be excited, even though my business is completely stopped. Like I'm in the live speaking business. I have no business. But you know what? I said, I'm going to stick to my game plan, because this will pass. This will pass.
So, Charlie, what do you think about if somebody, if whoever is out there listening and they're having these thoughts, I know for me, to kind of build on what you just said, if I can buy into a belief that things are getting ready to change, right? Whether or not that's actually the truth or not, if I can buy into that, don't you think that the morale, the people's minds, people's hearts, don't you think it'll change? That could change if you just have a belief that things are going to change. Because
Yes.
look, we both know this is not the end all be all. You just said this too will pass. Of course it's going to pass. It hurts right now. And it hurts for everybody. And listen, I'm not saying that your hurt is the same as mine, or the guy or my neighbor that just got shut out of his job, but we're all hurting in some way, shape, form, or fashion. Now, whether we decide to display that on social media, like you mentioned earlier, is a different ballgame. But guess what? Everybody's not happy as shit right now. Everybody's not, loving life. But guess what? We're all not loving life. But you have to take that and not conform with the negativity that you mentioned earlier. If you buy into that negative mindset, I guarantee things are going to get worse, because I've been there and seen it. I've done it. I've lived it. I know for sure that's the way it's going to turn out. But I do also know, if I think about it in a different perspective, if I think about it the way I explained, it's just a little bit longer, and this is going to be over, and things are going to bounce right back the way they were, if not 10 times better. I think that would change the dynamic of how this world's looking at this virus.
Yeah. I agree with everything you just said. And this morning I went to Whole Foods to grab some tea. And when I was checking out, the lady at the cash register, her name was Susan. She was an older lady. And she looked at me, she said, "How are you doing?" And I said, "I'm on a winning streak." She said, "Really? Why is that?" I said, "I woke up this morning." She said, "You know what? That is a winning streak." And that is the little attitude that saves me. Because remember at the beginning I said, you see what you're looking at? If I'm looking at winning streaks, that's what I'm going to see. That's what I want to see. That's what's going into my mind and my brain. I'm looking for winning streaks. So I was having a conversation with one of these young men today who was suicidal, and he was just, I was just listening, and he was like, like, my mom, my girlfriend, this, my life, this, everything's crashing. And I said, I said, your mom's alive. I said, imagine waking up today and if she was not alive, you would wish she was alive. I said, you have a girlfriend. I said, do you know how many people are in isolation right now and feel so lonely because they have nobody to talk to, nobody to interact with? And I was like, you have a girlfriend. That's a winning streak. Your mom is alive. She might be giving you a hard time, but that's a winning streak because you would much rather have mom giving you a hard time alive than mom not being alive. So I just pointed out all the things he told me and I flipped them and said, this is a winning streak. That's a winning streak. And this, because it's that delusional optimism that saves me. I try to remain delusionally optimistic. And that's what gets me to actually show up. Because if I'm pessimistic, I'm probably going to freeze like a deer in the headlights. And then I get hit by the car. But if I'm optimistic, I'm going to just keep moving. Oh, let's keep trying new stuff. It's going to work. And if it doesn't, oh, we'll try something else. It's going to work. So I keep trying because I think it's going to be easy. If I think something's going to be hard, I'm probably not even going to try.
Which I think that's a great segue into um, your philosophy and your thought process on that, and how you've used that very thing in your own life. Charlie, I would love for you, to talk about how you kind of, let's just segue a little bit away from, the positive things that are going on, or the negative, whichever way, if you're listening or watching, whichever way you view it. Hopefully you're viewing it positive if you're enjoying this podcast. But let's talk about for a moment how that belief has changed your life.
Man, all right, I'll share with everybody a little bit about my story. So just on the like the top of like the cliff notes. I'll start with the cliff notes, then I'll go back in time. So for everybody listening, my name is Charlie Rocket, and I used to be something they would call a music mogul. I managed massive hip hop artists and won Grammys and world tours, and I had one of the biggest management companies in all of hip hop. And when I was a kid, my dream was to be an athlete. That's all I wanted. I loved athletics. I loved basketball, but it wasn't very realistic because I was always overweight. I was on my first diet at age 8. And so I decided, you know what? I'm going to become a businessman. So I gave myself a superhero name and I called myself CEO Charlie. I gave myself that identity and I became a businessman. And next thing you know, I created a little hip hop website in high school and it started doing good. Went off to community college and one day I got a phone call from Interscope Records and they signed this new artist by the name of Soulja Boy. And they said, he wants you to be his cameraman. So I asked my mom if I could drop out of school and she said yes. So I'm on tour with Soulja Boy. Ended up getting fired, and which was tough, but it was to me a winning streak because I wanted to be delusionally optimistic. And I told my mom, I said, Mom, like the cameraman isn't the one making the money. It's the manager. So if I never got fired, I would never become a manager. She said, what? I said, yeah, I'm going to be a manager. She said, what do you know about managing rappers? I said, I'm going to be the best in the world. So I went and I found this girl group and I signed them and I got them a record deal. And next thing you know, they fired me because they wanted a big celebrity manager.
And you got them the
big
gig.
Celebrity manager because I was only 19 years old. What'd you say?
Yeah, but you got them the gig. I said, but you got them the gig. Yeah.
Yes. So sorry, my phone.
Yeah, it froze up, I think.
Yes. So I got them the gig, but they wanted to leave me because I was young. I was 19 years old. So they fired me, and I'm right back to my mom's basement. And I was trying to find the winning streak in this situation, and I just picked myself back up and wanted to give it another shot. And I signed this guy group named Travis Porter, and next thing you know, we have, you know, a couple top 20 records in the country without a record deal. I just did it myself. I would drive from every radio station from Jackson, Mississippi to Washington, D.C. And I told him, I'm going to get him on the radio. He said, how you going to do that? I was like, I'm going to drive. Like, while everybody else is just emailing people, I want to show up. And I just worked my butt off, and I passed out CDs every single night outside the club, hundreds of thousands of CDs. And we had a really big group, toured the world. And then I signed this artist by the name of 2 Chainz, and he was my biggest artist. He's you know, we worked with everybody from Kanye West to Lil Wayne to Drake to Nicki Minaj. I mean, you name it, we've worked with them. And the bigger my business got, the bigger I got. I had always struggled with weight my whole life, but at this point, I was over 300 pounds, and I really hit rock bottom because I was diagnosed with a brain tumor, and it had grown and it was making me really sick, and I felt stuck, and I didn't know. Corey's back.
Yep, we're back.
What's up, Corey?
What's up, brother? I don't know
You're
what
back,
happened.
brother?
I am. Can you hear me? I can't see you, but I can hear you.
But I can't see you. All right, I can
There we
see
are.
you now.
There we go. I don't even know where you had left off there. Your weight. I think is where you were at.
Absolutely. So my weight was out of control.
Oh, no, I'm sorry.
My
Brain
health,
tumor, Charlie. Brain tumor.
Brain tumor. That's
That's
right.
where we left off. Yeah.
So is the reception bad? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
Okay, because you're kind of breaking up on my end, but as long as you can hear me, that's good.
Yeah, I can hear you. You good.
Okay. So I was diagnosed with a brain tumor, and just I was broken. I was scared. I thought I was going to lose my life. I mean, everything was crashing down in front of me, and it made me go to rock bottom. But rock bottom can be a really, really, really bad place, but it can also be a great place, because rock bottom allows you to see your roots. And if your tree isn't bearing fruit, it's because of the roots. And I saw my tree was in bad soil. And I said, you know what? When you're broken, all you have left is your truth. And my truth was that my original dream was my purpose. The dream that I buried, that's what I'm meant to do. And that might not make any sense to society, but I'm going to be an athlete. Even though I'm 300 pounds, even though I'm 29 years old, even though I have no idea how I'll make money, I said, this is my dream, and I'm going to chase it. So I went to my artists, I went to my business partners, and I said, I'm going to retire. I'm going to be an athlete. You should have saw the looks on their faces. Because we had built this thing together. And they said, what's your plan? I said, I'm going to do an Ironman. He said, an Ironman? I said, yeah, I'm going to do it in 10 months. So I went out, I retired, I walked away from my business. I left everything. I left Atlanta. I moved to California. I became vegan. I ran 5 marathons. I did an Ironman. I biked across America. I did the Chicago Marathon with Nike. I became a Nike athlete. I introduced Nike to a concept that became their biggest commercial that they've ever done. It was the big Colin Kaepernick commercial. And the commercial was called Dream Crazy, and it was all about crazy dreams. And that commercial was named after me because my catchphrase is Dream Crazy. And I was also able to be in the commercial, and we won an Emmy. And now I'm a motivational speaker, and I teach people how to reinvent their lives, and I teach people how to think delusionally optimistic, and I also teach people a lot about business, but that's a whole nother conversation.
So
So
Charlie, so for the people listening, like, to take what we discussed at the beginning of this and about how you perceive what's going on and so on and so forth, you literally built a career that most folks would only dream of, and then quit that career to then go on to run all the things that you just said and become a Nike athlete, which is also what I'm sure a vast majority of this country would kill to have done. And you one would think, not by looking at you, that you would have to be like 80 years old by now. Because that's pretty impressive stuff. And for you to be able to walk away from such the first thing, the massive record labels and all the people and all the things to chase being a Nike athlete. I mean, you started kind of where a lot of people are starting right now, which is at zero.
mm-hmm.
I mean, you were actually at
Absolutely.
a deficit because you were so big.
Yeah, man, but you know what, I believe really, really, really big. It's so I have two catchphrases. One is Dream Crazy, and the second one is Believe Bigger. Because you can have a crazy dream, but if you don't believe, it won't come true. And I just believe that everything is possible. Not anything, Corey. Anything is limiting. I literally believe everything is possible. Like I'm chasing a new dream right now, that I'm taking people on a journey. And most people think I'm crazy or silly or stupid. Like, you should see, Corey. People are like, Charlie, are you for real? Because they see my Instagram and they see me trying to play basketball, and I'm not very good yet. But I told them, I said, I'm going to win MVP of the NBA Celebrity All-Star next year. And I'm not good at basketball now, but I'm going to teach people how to chase a dream from starting from zero at something that you're not good at. And that's what I want to leave this world with. If I could leave this world with documentation so that they could see, because a lot of people need to see to believe, if I could just show people that this is what it looked like when I wasn't good, and this was the process I took to do something extraordinary, a lot can change in a year. Your entire life can change in a year. But the ones who believe it can change are going to be the ones who actually show up.
And that belief can go either way. It can go in the way of you getting an MVP at the All-Star game, which I don't, if anybody that knows your story should not doubt that that's going to happen, because you've done two things already that are probably even bigger than what you're talking about doing now. But back to what I was saying is that belief can take you there, or you can believe that it won't take you there, and that's exactly what it'll do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The power of belief, strong, Charlie. Strong.
It is. It is, man. It's everything, man. And I write down every day. I'll show you like my little notebook. Um, yes. So I write my dreams down every day, sometimes 2 times a day. If I'm feeling real electric, I'll write my dreams twice. But let me show you this. But like I used to write just like this. I'll flip the camera around. So this is my quantum possibilities, right? And
Explain to
I'll do
everybody what
this.
that means. Explain to everybody what quantum means, so in case they don't know.
So quantum. So I like studying the law of attraction. And modern science really explains it. And quantum physics explains how we're all connected, that we're already connected to the things that we want, and that when we put focus on something, the quantum particles collapse and it materializes from an energy form to a physical form. And I would write down in my quantum possibilities notebook, I'm going to be a Nike athlete. I'm going to be in a commercial with LeBron James and Serena Williams. And that is technically the most far out there dream that is so unrealistic. And it didn't just come true. I was in the biggest commercial in the history of all of sports with LeBron James and Serena Williams.
So what does that
So,
tell you? There's look, so sorry to interrupt you, but the universe wants to give you more.
yes, yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And we just have to tune our frequency. So, quantum physics, on just the most elementary level, says everything is a wave. Like, there's no space in between you and me. And I was thinking about it like, well, this is kind of like a radio. So, right now in the air, there might be hundreds or thousands of songs flying past your face, but you can't hear them. But they're flying in the air, but you can't see them.
Hmm.
But if you take a radio, which is called a receiver, that's the technical term for what it is. Same thing with your phone is a receiver, or a TV is a receiver. So if you take a radio and you're on the wrong station, all you have is static. And then what happens if you tune to the right station? It pulls this invisible thing out of the air, and then it plays it beautifully. So everything we want is already flying in the air, but it's up to us to pull out our notebooks and to tune to the station so that we can receive it. You with me, Corey?
Yeah, dude, I'm 100% with you. 100%.
So that's why I write down my dreams every day. I'm just trying to tune to the frequency.
You know something, and I wonder how many dreams we don't that if because I don't write down my dreams. I do a gratitude journal every morning, which
Mm.
would be maybe a portion of that. But I wonder how many people that their dreams go by right in front of them. They have the thought. They're like, oh, that would be really awesome if I could do that. If they just wrote it down and reinforced the thought, I don't know what the percentage is, but I know it's got to be significantly higher that works out, that dream comes true.
Yes, absolutely.
So it's
Absolutely,
important.
man.
So Charlie, when is the All-Star game next year? Do you know? Is there a time? I'm not a basketball fan. Forgive me. I don't know when the hell that happens. So, is there a particular month that happens?
February in Indianapolis, which is in Indiana, is the home of all of basketball. That's Hoosier country. So
Okay.
it's 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 going to be really special. I'm practicing every day. I practice a couple hours a day, and I'm getting better and better and better. And I'm just so excited to show people what's possible, because so many times we see successful people do things, but we see the end result. We never really get to see successful people step off of the top of the mountain and join the bottom of the mountain where everybody else is, and where we're all not good at something. But that's the type of leader that I want to be. I want to show people that it's okay not to be good, because we don't have to worry about where we're at when we know where we're going.
That's true.
So I'm going to lead by example, um, at least as much as I'm going to talk about it. I don't want to talk 80%, act 20. I want it to at least be 50-50.
Yeah. one thing I do want you to talk about for a moment, Charlie, when you decided that you were going to go and do the marathon, which is hard. I mean, I'm sorry, not the marathon, um,
The Ironman.
yes, completely just my brain went out. So the Ironman, when you went out to do that, you didn't train 8 to 10 hours a day, which is what I think. If people don't know your story, they probably thought that, or probably do
Mm-hmm.
think that. Can you just hit on for a minute how you just said I spend 2 hours a day approximately practicing. To most folks, they would think, well, that's not enough, but you do. Can you explain your thought process behind that?
Yeah. So with the Ironman, which is very scary. All the swimming, it's a triathlon, the biking, the running. So I got this Ironman training program off the internet. It's supposed to be a really, really, really good one. And it was so freaking hard looking. It was like swim this many laps at this pace, and then this many backstroke at this pace, and then on the bike do this many miles at this pace, and then at this pace, and then this pace, and then do the runs at this heart rate, and then at this. I'm like, oh my god, this is so confusing. I was like, I need this to be simple. So in order for me to do something, if it's simple, it just makes it easier for me to show up. It's kind of like I want to show up to, you know, the easy class in high school, not the hard class, you know?
Right.
So so I looked at the training program and I just went down to the bottom of the training program and I said, okay, how many hours a week does an Ironman need to train in this complicated program? And I just added it up and it was about 14 hours a week. I said, that's it? So if I trained for 10 months, 14 hours a week, that's only 2 hours a day. And then I had to create this anchor in my mind of 2 hours because 2 hours can sound hard or 2 hours can sound easy. So, like, if I ask somebody to go run for 2 hours, they're going to be like, oh, that's hard. But if I said, when you were 8 years old on a Saturday, running around the park with your friends, playing, was that hard for playing for 2 hours? But
Not
you
at
were
all.
probably running, playing dodgeball, playing basketball, playing soccer for 2 hours. So I go to these parts of my mind where I have to find how it's going to be easy. So I said, okay, well, when I was 8, running around the park for a couple hours was easy. Riding my bike with my friends around the neighborhood after school for a couple hours, that was easy. And swimming at the pool on the weekend for a couple hours, that was easy. So I said, an 8-year-old already has this Ironman thing figured out. I'm just going to train like an 8-year-old. And the second I determined that an 8-year-old could do an Ironman because they're doing 2 hours anyways, you know what? I could do it too. And that's what kept me showing up.
And it's such a simple concept, but so powerful the way you looked at it. You know. Um, so you still there? You went unstable on me, whatever that means.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so take
I'm
that
still here.
concept. If you're listening, take the concept that Charlie just explained, and you can use that or apply that with anything that you do in life. Really, if you view it
Mm-hmm.
from through those lens, really.
Mm-hmm.
So, Charlie, the people out there right now that are struggling, let's just leave them with something. Uh, maybe some words of hope. You mentioned hope earlier. Um, what is something that people can do right now to change the way they're thinking about this? If I'm one of these guys that have reached out to you and I'm seeing red and I'm seeing, there's no money coming in and my kids are screaming and my wife's raising hell because we don't have any money coming in and things are just looking so abysmal. What would you say? What's something that you could leave everybody with that could give them a little bit of hope?
mm. Is this? it's so hard, Corey, thinking about how to how to tell somebody who's losing it all right now. But the only thing we can hold on to is going to be these thoughts that might not make any sense, but it's our only savior. Because if everything is crashing down, the thing that's going to propel us to fight through it is hope. Like like you're not going to want to show up tomorrow if you feel like the world's going to end tomorrow. You're going to be like, well, I'm just going to lay down and quit. And that's what it does feel like. It does feel like the world's going to end. And if somebody doesn't have money to feed their family, I mean, that's such a scary, scary, scary place. But, maybe that person just has to, you know, maybe there's something that he could sell. Let's sell stuff, or let's, like, even with me, for example, like I'm in a decent financial spot, but I'm even looking at selling stuff, and I'm thinking about moving into an RV and just touring across the country, like living out of my RV, playing basketball and trying to inspire other people. But I'm looking at it like expense wise, like, wow, what if I can cut down on my expenses more? How can I cut back more? And as long as I'm taking some sort of step forward, I feel better. Just as long as I'm going somewhere. I just got to step forward somewhere and I feel a little bit better. But man, Corey, there's so many people that are hurt and scared right now. But I guess if they're listening to this, you got to have some sort of delusional optimism in your portfolio. Not 100% of your portfolio can be the bad things. You got to have some sort of hope in there too. So spend some time by yourself, recharge a little bit, and own an identity to become a hero. Because when you feel like it's my duty to be a hero right now, you're probably gonna not be so much of a victim, and you'll go into war saying, I'm ready to run into that fire flaming house. I'm going to do that with pride. But that's because we put on that hero hat. And if we identify ourselves as, I'm going to be a hero right now, our tone will change, our thoughts will change, our feelings will change. And that's really all I could recommend, Corey. I, I wish I could talk to somebody right now who lived through the Great Depression, because I would love to know their thoughts. I mean, obviously there was a lot of bad things that happened, but the country made it out again. The country always makes it. There's casualties along the way, and we can't discount that, because there's people who get hurt, there's people who lose everything, there's people who end up on the street. So we can't, you know, we can't just say, oh, be positive, it'll pass. Like, no, we all have to take action steps. But the key is to actually take an action step.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I'll say one last thing on to build on what you said. One thing I believe also people can do is, you know, it's one thing if you want to be vulnerable and talk about what's going on in your life,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that's actually a noble thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
However, it's not very noble to keep spreading the rumors or spreading stuff if you don't know that's really what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe it's something you've heard on the news or you've heard from social media, because I don't know if you know the statistics, but I think it's social media screen time, Charlie, is up like a gazillion%. It's
Mm-hmm.
because people don't have anything else to do. And be careful what you're reading, folks, because not everything's true. Not everything's true. And so,
Mm-hmm.
make sure you're, feeding your mind with good shit opposed to feeding it with something that's not, it's going to deteriorate.
Mm-hmm. That's right. That's right. And that's something I've been working on as well. Um, I've been listening to some seminars from Joe Dispenza. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and anybody listening to this, they're listening to a podcast, so they're doing the right thing. But we got to get our friends and our family on the same wavelength because, I mean, not looking at the news, that might be the most difficult willpower ever. Like not looking at all this addictive news, which I mean, it is addictive. Like it's almost like this, Corey. Like you ever drove down the street and you see a car wreck on the side of the road, and the little police is behind it, and that say that's to your right. So you're looking out your passenger window, but to your left is a beautiful sunset. Nobody is looking at the sunset. Everybody has to look at the fear or the curiosity of the fear. So it's a very difficult thing to overcome that addiction, to want to look at it. But we do need to say, oh, wow, look at that sunset. It's beautiful.
That's
Because when
right.
I was driving through Big Sur the other day, and I was looking at this beautiful nature, mountains, forest, ocean. And I was like, this planet doesn't know any of what's going on in our lives. It's been doing this for billions of years. And if all of this for humanity were to end today, that tree will still do the same thing. That wave will still do the same thing. That bird will still do the same thing. That bear, everything still goes on. And there's something way bigger than us. And sometimes just going out into nature gives us some peace because nature ain't afraid. So the other day, I just went on a walk without my cell phone, and I just looked at all this beautiful nature, and I said, wow, this has been cranking along this whole time, and it's going to keep going. So it just made me feel calm.
You know why? I'm going to get a little technical on you, Charlie. Part of the reason that made you calm is because the sunlight produces serotonin, which is one of the receptors in the brain that makes you happy. And
Mm,
then this is the part that I thought was really fascinating. At night, that serotonin that you get from the sunshine turns into melatonin and makes you sleepy.
mm,
So you're getting dual. Not only did you have a beautiful scenery to look at, but you were also uh, you probably did know that, but unbeknownst to a lot of people, that sunshine coming in,
I
just get
didn't know that.
outside. You didn't know that. Yeah,
I didn't know
absolutely.
that.
Sure does. It sure
That's
does. So
amazing.
yeah, I mean you can be happier, just walk. And I don't mean to make it sound so simple, but really 20 minutes a day outside is supposed to elevate your mood significantly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. We need it, man. We need to hear stuff like that.
I mean, it's all natural. Everybody's got it. It's the sun. So,
Yeah.
you know, guys, look, um, this is a time where we we got to rise up. And what I mean by that is we have got to change the way this thing is going. And we are the only reason it's going the way it is. So it's time to make a decision of what you want to do in terms of, do you want to continue on the route? If you're one of the people that are, that are really hurting from this, you got to make a decision. Is that where you want to stay, or do you want to get better? And that's the only
Mm-hmm.
decision that you can make and I can make. It's the decision. And it
Mm-hmm.
sounds so simple and trite, but it's not. It is really that. It is that simple, but you got to get out of your head.
Mm-hmm.
you know
That's right.
so Charlie, Dude, thank you so much. I appreciate you coming on and dropping some knowledge for everybody and telling us a little bit about your story. It was great seeing you, as always, and I can't wait to see you get crowned the MVP next year, next February.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it, Corey.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, my brother. And let me turn Facebook off and figure out how to do that. Let's stop the